Hey there, welcome to another episode of Your Concrete Success Podcast. This is your host, Danny Barrera, owner and founder of Concrete Marketing Crew. And today we have a very special guest here, the owner of Painting Premium as well as founder of DripJobs. And we're going to talk about the ultimate CRM for concrete coating contractors. And out of this call, let me just say this. Just get ready. Buckle up, because what we're going to share with you is a revolutionary system that's changing the game in helping concrete coating contractors and painting contractors, for all that matter, for different trades, sell more jobs efficiently with this CRM system. So Tanner, welcome aboard. Welcome to Your Concrete Success Podcast. How's your day going so far?
Man, we're doing good, man. I'm thankful to be here, Danny. Here to serve your clients. Man, I'm just excited to dive into what we're going to chat about today, man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Great to have you here with us. So, Tanner, one question I like to ask is just give us the brief rundown here into your background and how you ended up creating DripJobs.
Yeah, so like any good, what I believe to be a good idea, it all starts out of wanting to solve a problem, which usually comes from frustration. So my background starts, just working my way up the ladder. I started as a busboy, if you want to go back
Wow.
that far. Kind of just learned customer service, learned hospitality, which are two very valuable skill sets to
Yes,
know in our industry.
I agree.
Believe it or not, right? If you want to separate yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, found my way into restaurant management, picked up that skill, got into
Wow.
car sales, learned sales, got into life insurance sales, then got into banking. So I kind of gathered
Wow.
this really wide array of experience just really by just through hard work, just kind of pushing through.
Mhm.
And it got to a point where I wanted to help my family. They were in a tough position financially, and my father was dealing with some things that I felt if I were home, I'd be able to help him with.
Mhm.
And me being away, kind of in college, kind of just thinking, hey, I think I'm gonna work full time. I think this is what I want to do. I want to work up the corporate ladder. I made the decision to start a painting business because that's what he used to do, and I needed to help him out. So that's kind of where this kicked off. Was part of it was for me selfishly because I wanted to own a business. I wanted to be free, from the 9 to 5. And on the second hand, it was to really help my family. It was to get my dad back working again, help out my little sister, and really just try to make an impact back home. So I subleased my apartment in the college town I was living in, and I
Mm.
moved back home, moved in with my dad and my sister. And that started my painting business journey. Was it pretty? No,
Mm.
absolutely not. It didn't turn out the way I thought it would, but what did come out of it was I come from a sales background.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring sales, customer service, hospitality to an industry where that was kind of unheard of. I
Mhm.
mean, now it's getting a little more popular, but 7, 8 years ago, the standard was pretty low.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across, and I know we don't talk about this here, but I stumbled across Home Advisor.
Mm.
Um, and that was what I used really to get going because I didn't have guys like you. I didn't have a network of individuals that did a lot of marketing. So I kind of just used the resources that I had. And that's where it all began. It was the frustration of chasing down leads
Mm.
uh, that
Mm.
that inspired me to embark on this software journey.
Wow.
That's where it began.
Wow, so that's beautiful. And we do talk about Home Advisor, Angie's List, Thumbtack. I think the more diverse the lead source, and more importantly, being able to quantify closing ratios and the cost per acquisition by lead source is what matters at the end of the day as a business. And you would understand this. Dan Kennedy talks about the worst thing that you could do in business is rely on one. So if you're only relying on one lead source, you're pretty much setting yourself up for, at some point in time, for a big headache. So we do
Agreed.
encourage diversification of lead sources. Obviously, not everyone has the sales capacity and capabilities to be able to handle leads from different sources, but we do empower our listeners and our clients to learn how to handle the leads, how to call leads back from different sources so that they can
Yep.
engage them and convert them into opportunities. But
Yep.
that's great. So let me ask you a question. When you started the painting business, you came from a sales background, sales experience, and then you went into the trades. You see, the majority of contractors kind of start out on the other way, right? They're born in the trades, or they just happen to find an opportunity in concrete coatings or decorative concrete. They get into it, and they have this mindset of, let me learn the craft and the craftsmanship. How do you go about when you started the business? Do you focus in the craftsmanship, or do you have a crew, or just share a little bit about that and what that, how you transition into growing the business and scaling it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I worked alongside of a restaurateur. He was kind of a mentor to me. He owned this really, really good sushi and steakhouse restaurant, and that's kind of who gave me the opportunity to manage the restaurant at such an early age. And watching the way he ran his business
Hmm.
inspired me in a way that made me understand that if I were going to be successful, I needed to learn how to cook.
Hmm.
And if he is an owner of a restaurant and he doesn't know how to cook, his restaurant's going to fail.
Wow.
And I say that because ultimately, um, we can't rely on our team to deliver at the expense of a potential bad review or not
Hmm.
showing up, especially early on.
Yeah.
And you don't have the leverage that we do now as a company. We have the resources now,
Right.
but
Right.
early on it was, hey, are you coming in today? Type of questions to the people I had around me, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I knew early on, number one, I was not going to compromise my reputation. So I had to learn quickly. My father didn't pan out to be what I thought it would be with his
Hmm.
mental state at the time and just what he was dealing with. It wasn't a good recipe for success because I was coming in hot.
Wow.
I'm like, look, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of figure it out on my own, and it required a little bit of resourcefulness,
Hmm.
YouTube, Idaho Painter, anything that I can get my hands on to figure it out. But
Wow.
the good news is that it taught me a lot. I painted alongside of my crews for 6 months. I had
Wow.
painter's pants on, and there's a few reasons why it was important to me. Number one, again, referencing that restaurant tour that I worked for, I knew that I was learning the process of how to cook in case my chef
Mm.
wasn't going to be in the next day, right? I
Yeah.
didn't want to be at the mercy of anyone on my team.
Hmm.
The second one was because I wanted to properly estimate the job times. I felt like if I did the work, I would have a really good understanding of how long things take and how to accurately estimate.
Beautiful.
So those two reasons in and of itself for me were keys to success early on. It's just being humble enough to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm a sales and marketing guy,
Hmm.
but I am not afraid to learn this trade. And it will show to my team that, hey, this isn't just some guy that comes in and sells jobs.
Yeah.
He'll get down and dirty, he'll get gritty. And I've never been that type of leader to just point fingers and tell people what to do. It's more so you better work at my pace or faster.
Yeah.
That's how it's got to be. So, that kind of helped out
Oh,
big
that's
time.
that's amazing, and I completely agree. Same thing here at Concrete Marketing Crew is I know how to run every single role in the company, and it does help out in troubleshooting. Especially like our crew values are we're committed to being the best version of ourselves first for ourselves, so that we can be the best version of ourselves for the rest of the world's clients, our loved ones. The next one
Sure.
is we're responsible for everything we do, but the third one is excellence. And there's no way to achieve excellence, a point of excellence or world class, which is the last one, if I don't know digital marketing or lead generation well enough. So today I spent some time with my team. We have a sabbatical every 8 weeks. One team A and team B, they're both team A's, but we split out the teams in half, and they get a break. Entire week paid off, but guess what? This is my week to step in and just swim with the team and help them out whatever we have to help them out with. But it certainly helps out because they have questions. Timing is another thing you cannot optimize if you're not tracking. So those are very good key takeaways here. Walk me through, how do you manage to wear the sales hat plus the installer hat? How do you transition? How do you make that transition? Do you hire a salesperson, an appointment setter for you? How do you manage to get out of the installer position into sales? How did that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so delegation is key. I think we all know that. And I
Hmm.
think one of the detriments of the crafts person who's good at this trade
Yeah.
is that he's stepping into shoes that he hasn't worn before. A full-time salesperson, this is usually foreign to individuals that
Yeah.
uh, have made their living on the tools.
Mm.
So I think for me, it was a lot easier to get in and get out, as opposed to someone who's been in and really swimming in unfamiliar territory,
Mm-hmm.
because you can be an average salesperson and still do really well in this business.
Yeah.
But chances are you have a really small team and you're working a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to grow, you have to be an above average salesperson. And not only that, you have to be a master delegator,
Right.
because if you're going to convert leads in a way that is exceptional, you've got to be in full-time salesperson
That's
mode,
right.
right?
That's
Because
right.
if you're grinding out a garage floor and the phone rings and you
Mm-hmm.
leave that thing on idle, it's not going to be a very proactive, engaging conversation. You're probably going to want to get them off the phone so you can get back to what you're doing. And every area of business requires its due focus.
Mm-hmm.
Every area of business, and I think the most crucial area of the business is customer relations,
Yes.
communication, tonality, the feeling that we convey to a customer. So for me, I never put painting first at all, ever. It
Wow.
was to learn it so I could teach it.
Mm.
Like you said, knowing everything. I got to know how to do it. And if I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to teach it and I can't hold it accountable.
Right.
So, really, I mean, it was just a matter of planning ahead of time. But I don't want to leave those guys hanging, the people that are in the tools heavily and just kind of confused about this sales role and this marketing role. I would say
Right.
ultimately the thing is you're going to attract who you are. If your standard is high,
Yes.
then you're going to attract another individual who has a high standard. It's just about, first, number one, being okay for them to make mistakes, and I think that's something that a perfectionist, usually a crafts person, somebody that's a tool junkie,
Mm.
is a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Um, so that's going to be the hardest thing, is really just identifying, people are going to make mistakes, but you're going to be there. Number two is you graduate from technician, installer to supervisor in that moment.
Mm.
And I think you got to give yourself a promotion.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, what would you recommend? What would be some key action items as we start heading into the sales conversation? Key action
Yeah.
items, someone that's still in the weeds, installing, grinding floors, and wants to get into the two crew phase, and they realize, hey, I need a salesperson full time, or I need to
Yeah.
become a full time salesperson. Where would they find these sales reps? Where would you have found good luck in finding good people for this role?
Well, here's the problem. The problem is the confidence behind the hiring.
Mm,
We're talking about concrete companies.
yeah,
You got to bust out a lot of jobs to justify two crews.
right.
So I think the first thing is you got to identify a leader.
Mm,
And if you're struggling with leadership yourself, it's going to be hard for you to see something in someone that you don't have within yourself. So the first step is, identifying where you are in terms of a leader and a manager and a
yes,
true delegator, right?
yes.
And if you're struggling with that, you know, the best time to start is now. And I think
Mm,
I look back at a few attributes of a great leader. A great leader is just that, someone that leads
hmm.
from the front, right? And I think if you work alongside someone each day, you need to ask yourself, does this person represent someone that I believe to take my position?
Hmm.
And it's interesting, in my walk of business, in my journey, there's been people that I would look at and I'd say, I don't know if they're going to be a manager,
Mm,
and um, when they got the opportunity, they took it. And I've four managers in my painting business. None of them have ever managed anything before. Actually, one of them
wow.
has, but not in the trades.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you could potentially have someone right next to you that could, full and well take the bull by the horns and do the work that you think that you need to be there to do, and you're not doing it. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the major attributes of growing a great company, is identifying leaders from within.
Wow.
If you continuously outsource leadership,
Hmm.
you're going to really kill the morale of your team.
Wow.
They're going to feel as though, what's the point, right? If you just bring in a manager or bring in a crew leader, um, and you have an individual that maybe they're a little introverted, but in their heart, they want to lead, and you're not opening the door because you're always in the way.
Mm.
So
Oh,
get
that's
out of the
good.
way.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And moving now into, hey, now you're stepping out of the weeds. there is space and time to devote yourself into
Right.
closing more jobs. And just going back, let's take one step back here. If you're in the weeds and you're grinding floors, you're in the way of your company's growth, and you're recognizing that and empower other individuals. And something you mentioned here is the leader within you. What do we need to do to identify where you're at right now and how to activate the next level of leadership within you? You're leading, like there's a phase right now that you're leading from, and the question is, how do we get to that next level? And what you mentioned is surrounding yourself with other leaders, people who are doing better than you, who have figured some things out and are great at leading their crews. Those are very good takeaways here. Moving
Absolutely.
into the sales conversation, right? If you're grinding floors and you get a home advisor lead and Nagis leads, and you're not able to pick up and call them up right there on the spot, you're done. That's where all the money gets wasted.
Gets made there and it gets lost there within
It's-
about a couple minutes.
you only got about 3 minutes before they forget where they submitted the information from. And about 8 years ago, I was working in this company that they would broker leads. They would generate leads for transportation companies, long distance
Yep.
movers, etc. And I would notice, and I would say we generate leads from SEO, thousands of leads per week. And one of the key things was what was the lead connection ratio? What did it look like in the first 3 minutes, in the first 30 seconds? And you would see these companies making millions of dollars by just having someone waiting on the phone. When a lead came in, it would go right into the dialer. Someone would be ready to pick up the lead. So let's talk about where DripJobs now comes into the picture, because now there's some cool things that are happening within DripJobs that enable the contractor, enable this coding contractor as they're getting leads to start engaging the leads. So DripJobs, a CRM, you built it yourself, and you want to tell us a little bit about the story of how the idea came to be and where is it at right now, and how are you helping these contractors engage the leads and make sure that they're connecting with these leads as they come in.
Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, it came out of, really out of frustration. I started growing a little bit and I was buying these leads at 80 to $100 a pop. And, back when I used to sell cars, they used to hand me a stack of papers and they say, okay, here's everyone that came in uh, to service last month. Here's their vehicle. Here's how many miles. Here's what they're paying on
Mm.
their payments. Try to get them in and sell them a new car. Okay. So every Tuesday I get a stack of 100 leads.
Yeah.
And I hated that, I hated it because they did not want my service. They didn't know
Yeah.
I was calling and they didn't like me very much. Okay. Can you imagine, Danny, if you got a call from a car dealership, like it doesn't matter what that guy says to you, what's
Cold as
coming
ice.
and you're not going ice cold.
Yeah.
So when I got into this business, man, I'm like, these are not leads. These are just people that want me to come give them an estimate. Like this was a major shift for me.
Mm-hmm.
So when they didn't answer the phone, I got kind of confused. I'm like, wait a minute. You reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
You inquired. This was my first experience of inbound leads. So for
Yeah.
me, this was like, wait a minute. No. I just paid $100 for this. You wanted my service and now you're not going to answer me, or
Mm-hmm.
you're going to, so I'm kind of confused here. So this kept happening. I mean, we'd get some and we'd lose some. So I'm like, first of all, this is what I need to do, right? So if you're not going to answer me, I'm going to assume you're busy. So I'm going to send you a text message. So what I did was, after I'd get done on my ladder, I'd get down and I'd wipe my hands clean. And that was 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Finally, 20 minutes later, I sent a text message. Hey, just got your request. Would you like an estimate? No response, right? So at the end of the day, I'd be like, hey, I got like 3 leads today. I need to go into the Home Advisor app. First I got to open it up and I got to send them some emails.
Yeah.
So I kept typing out emails. I'm like, well, I should probably like write down a template and copy it and paste it in there because I'm tired of doing this. So, there'd be days where I'd wake up to 2 or 3 leads. If I go to bed at 10 and somebody puts in a request at 11 or 12 o'clock, then like I'd be busy in the morning and I couldn't reach out. And I mean, it doesn't take long for like you to get really disorganized.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it could be 5 to 7 leads, and you're just like, I don't know who's who anymore
yeah,
because most of us forget what we ate for breakfast 2 days ago,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. It was like, first of all, hold on a second. I'm a sales professional.
Mm,
I know if I'm a sales professional, I need to know two things. Number one, who I need to contact, and then number two, how I'm going to contact them. And a sales professional strikes when the iron's hot.
mm-hmm.
Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah.
We're capitalizing on emotion in the epoxy industry more than any
Yes.
industry because there's never an epoxy emergency.
Right.
No one really needs the service. So the only thing you can do is capitalize on the emotion of getting the service, right? So for me, like I looked at it like this. I said, okay, well, these people want it, but for some reason we're not converting them, and I have no clue where everyone is. So I created a solution. It was called Trade Thrive. And what I did was is I found an autoresponder. It was like an SMS app or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I used a webhook and I connected it through an app called Zapier. And then from there, I connected Zapier to Home Advisor. So I did a bunch of research
Wow.
one night to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
So, lo and behold, when that lead came in within seconds, it triggered the Zap and it shot out a text message to the customer. And at that point, I felt like I had discovered like gold,
Yeah.
Danny. Like this was something that you just, this wasn't happening. And I just felt like I cheated the system and I won. Because what happened was is I threw a link in there, you can
Mm-hmm.
book me link. And what would you know it? They booked the appointment.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I've narrowed that down, okay, because it was automated. There was a time I was climbing a ladder, a lead came in, the cortisol shot up. I was getting a
Yeah.
little nervous because I had to get the $100 back or get a credit. And then by the time I got down on that ladder, Danny, I had a booked appointment, and I said, all right, this is good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted to create email campaigns because some people still weren't converting.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as a sales professional, I know that we need to follow up with people. They might not be ready right now, but somebody's going to paint their house. Somebody's going to do their garage floor. And just so you know, I'm qualified. I used to do epoxy. So I don't do it
Oh,
now,
beautiful,
but I
man.
used to, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm part of the team here
Yeah.
in a sense. So created drip campaigns as soon as that customer came through. So what would happen is I'd tack on another Zap, subscribe them to this campaign, and
Mm-hmm.
drip it out. So this was called Trade Thrive. And, long story short, I connected like 5 different apps together. It was one for like invoicing, one for, the Zapier, one for texting. And then I would build out all the emails, and I would brand them with the company's name, and I would sell this service to, people that were in my network, my friends, other business owners that I had, been chatting with and talking to, and it kind of became a thing. And then I was like, you know what? I need a custom solution because I kept getting requests for things like, hey, how
Mm.
do I integrate a calendar? How do I, do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, we can't do that. So
Mm.
2021 came around. My wife and I had a really, really strong talk about investing in a software company. This was my first experience at this, but
Wow.
I was so convicted that I had so much conviction around this idea that I was like, whatever, let's do it. Cause I know I know it'll work, and I know it'll sell, and I know it'll create massive impact if we can get it right.
Beautiful.
So it's been, well, June 2021, 2022, no, June 2021 was our first customer. Um, and we're 2 years in. We have grown tremendously. We have 10 employees now in the company,
Wow.
and
Beautiful.
we have over 1,000 companies using this software now. So
Amazing.
it's been great. It's been awesome. We've added so many things, and now our goal isn't just really. I mean, we're called Drip Jobs. We have some great functionality in the system surrounding drip messages. That's the core of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that automatic communication, Danny? But I will say that our goal is to be an all-in-one solution. Everything that you would need to run your business is going to be in Drip Jobs. We're almost there. Aside from job costing and a crew function that is coming soon. But one of the cool things that we've done is pipeline automation.
Beautiful.
You need a pipeline. Now,
Yeah.
Danny, I'll ask you, do you have a pipeline when it comes to organizing your marketing customers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have
Wouldn't
from
you?
all types of leads that come in, referrals, networking
Yep.
events,
Yeah.
You name it, Facebook leads, organic leads, they get tagged and they get segmented based on that
Segmented, and then you have a pipeline. And
pipeline.
wouldn't you agree that every salesperson should have a pipeline?
Oh, you need it. You need to know where it's
You
at.
need the visual
Yes.
representation. So
Yes.
back in the day, Danny, what they used to do, these contracting companies, these heavy hitters back in the 90s, what did they have in the office? They had the huge whiteboard,
Mm-hmm.
right? They had the big one. And what they would do every day is they'd erase those names and they would draw them on the next level.
Yeah.
So one of the things that people don't really know about drip jobs until they see a demo is that we automate the pipeline out of the box. Now you can appreciate this because you probably built out your automations. When this happens, move it to this stage. When this
Mm-hmm.
happens, move it to this stage. Well, we know what our customers do, and we know what the triggers are. We know what the actions are, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in other words, if you get someone that comes in as a cold lead and they book an appointment, well, they start in the cold lead stage, Danny, and then they automatically move to the estimate scheduled stage. And that's the theme throughout the entire software. So our contractors that use this, they don't need to worry about spending time moving those cards. It's all automated, which saves people a ton of time and they don't have to worry about it. And that's how we trigger the automated communication, because we know that we can trigger automated communication because we know exactly where the customer is in the buying process.
Oh, I love that. One of my mentors, Dean Jackson, who's a legend in email marketing, out of all things, I went through a workshop, and what we worked on is in figuring out what does it look like for a homeowner, and just this is as a whole in combined conversions. What does it look like in a 3-year journey for a homeowner to buy? And it was an interesting fact: only 15% of all the combined leads will buy now, meaning now from now in the next
Wow.
30 days. 85% go for the next 3 years. So if your sequence, this is, and he's got a book now called Get Leads Now, I think it is. I'll tag you on it, but you got to read that book. And he walks you through it, and he didn't make these numbers up. Like, there's actually research behind it and what it looks like. So there is so much awaiting in the nurturing of the leads as they come in. Some will convert now, some will probably convert in the next 69 days, and then the rest are going to convert in the next 3 years. Without nurture, without touch points, guess what? You just spent that money, and it's just going to go to waste. Or you can take advantage of it and activate those leads as they come in and nurture them. So I love that. Walk me through how this system it's different than Lead Connector, Go High Level, what everyone else is offering. How is this system different?
Man, I mean, first of all, I'll tell you that, in the same way, you would say, and I want to use you, Danny, because I know that one of the best things about people working with you is you.
Yeah.
So what's different about Drip Jobs is me. I'm a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm passionate. I know how to lead a software team better than anyone else in the market, and I know how to connect with my audience and my users better than anyone else in the market. People see me and they understand that, hey, that guy walks the walk
Mm-hmm.
because he also owns a painting business and he's using it every day.
Yeah.
And we're building it together. And that's the kind of feeling that I wanted to create in this software, is that people have a voice.
Wow.
We don't know everything, but you know what? Guess what? You will have a voice. It will be heard because we understand something. And Danny, you only really understand this until you hit a certain plateau, not a plateau, but a certain point in software development where you have so many people using the software, and you get to a place where you realize that everything that you do from this point forward is either going to help a company grow to the next level or keep them stable. Right. So it's so interesting because if we add a new feature, I've just unlocked a new level for every company that uses this software. And it's such an honor. It's such a privilege. I think so. Those are my intrinsic differences.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's who's leading it, right? Do you know the CEO of Jobber? I haven't ever seen him put a Facebook post out. Do you know the CEO of any of these other? I don't know where they are or what they're doing, right? I mean, chances are they don't own a painting business. Chances are they started their software from a place of, hey, I see an opportunity, rather than I'm trying to solve a true problem that they experience and they want to share that with everyone else. So, I mean, that's the first thing, is software is now becoming so transparent
Yes.
with who's running it, who's doing it, the community behind it,
Mm-hmm.
that ultimately I think that that's one of the things that sets us apart. Now, in terms of functionality that sets us apart from some of these other softwares, Go High Level. First of all, we have two different customers. Danny, you're one of our favorite customers because you work directly with contractors and you send them leads,
Yes.
right? Well, one of the problems that you go through is the fact that your contractors probably want more contractor related functionality. I'll
Mm.
name a few that they're missing
Right.
right now.
Right.
Work orders, okay?
Mm.
Go into the team, change order function, right? So if they go to a house and the customer wants the lanai epoxy done,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we can whip up a quick change order in 2 minutes to the
Wow.
same proposal, and it gets consolidated to the existing invoice. All the money works out perfect, and it's a sweet transition. Another feature that, again, could be missing in there is proposal templating,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to add optional items, right? So when we go in and we upsell, when I talk to epoxy guys, I always say, you guys got to figure out how to paint the walls in that place.
Oh
That's
yeah.
such an easy upsell. Paint the walls first, or send somebody in to do it. It's $600 to $800 on every single garage.
That's
We
right.
sell it all the time, right? Why wouldn't they want fresh paint on their walls when they're getting their concrete done?
Add
So
sealers are stain the
dealers,
driveway. I mean, you name it. So many
you
upsell
name
opportunities.
ups opportunities, a job schedule. So many contractor related functions that I feel like are missing. So think of that lead connector software, that
Mm-hmm.
Go High Level software,
Yeah.
amazing software. However, think of those same functions that you're using that you like, that automatic follow-up, that nurturing, the
Mm-hmm.
appointment setting, all that stuff, the two-way texting,
Yeah.
all that's in DripJobs plus all the contractor features.
Beautiful. So it's the contractor features, bringing in the sales and marketing component, engaging the leads, and helping you convert those leads. As far as the visual effect, what does it look like? What are some of the key
Yeah.
features that you have epoxy and concrete coating contractors leveraging the most in your software? Do you want to give us a brief walkthrough?
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you asked because again, that visual appeal is so important.
Yes.
Um, I'll tell you there's a time where, my schedule wasn't as full as it is now.
Wow.
And it would be Thursday, Danny, and I had maybe two or three guys working for me, and that schedule was empty on Monday,
Mm.
right? So, if you're again leadership, right? I mean, us leaders aren't okay with that.
Right.
And for
Right.
me as a salesperson, it was imperative for me to have this right here. And I'm circling something over here on the
Wow.
right. Okay. See that stage there? That's called the proposal sent stage. Okay. And now it's not circled anymore, but you get the idea.
Yes.
What this is a list of 272 customers, Danny, that I have given a proposal to, and they haven't told me yes or no. They haven't told me if they've gotten the job done, and they haven't told me if I'm not the contractor for them.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I have 272 opportunities to follow up sitting right here. So this is just a short example of some of the power behind this app. But what if I wanted to send these people a message?
Mm-hmm.
Now, without a software like this, chances are all of these individuals would have to be tagged, or they would have to be queried, or there'd have to be some sort of, again, manual work to garnish this list. And not only garnish it, you'd have to tie it to your proposal software,
Mm.
or else you're creating work for the customer. And let me just show you how easy this is. So I'm going to go here to my list view. I'm actually going to go here to proposal sent. And now I have a list of every single customer that I've given a proposal to
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't told me yes or no in what is almost the last 2 years. But what I want to do is I want to go to the most recent ones. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go ahead and change the filtering to the most recent ones. And I'm going to select the last 15, and maybe I deselect a few people that maybe I don't want to give a
Mm-hmm.
discount or an offer to. So I'm going to hit bulk actions here and hit send message. And what DripJobs is able to do is allow me to send a targeted message to the people that I need to send a message to most.
Wow.
And what's cool is we worked in some AI. So we can actually change this here to say epoxy installation, right? So let's say that's
Mm-hmm.
our service. And we can say, write a follow-up message to a lead asking them to move forward with the proposal in 100 words or less in a eager tone. And I can hit generate there. And we've built some AI in here that lets you get a message out to your
Incredible.
customers. And I've only been demoing this for 2 minutes at the right time. So again, our focus is communication. We have a really awesome
Boom.
message being written here.
Yeah.
We're truly excited opportunity. Now, what's even cooler is, and again, this is why all-in-one matters. This isn't anything new. You can use this with email app or anything like that. But what's cool about this is we have the ability to integrate the proposal within this email, making it a one-stop shop for your customers. So we just pop in the keyword here, takes them right to their portal, and then they can take the action that we're asking them to take right there. So we don't just build a software for contractors. We build a software for your customers. We want it to be easy. We want it to be clean. We want it to function properly. And we want them to feel like they are getting the better end of the deal at all times. And that might even be just them looking at your software and saying, you know what, this company is the better company based on the interactions I've had with them. And in most cases, those interactions are automated. So, that's one part, Danny. We could do the same thing with leads that have just been sitting. We could do warm leads. I have 66 warm leads. These 66 people have all told me, Danny, and this relates back to that little statistic you told me. They've told me that they're not ready yet. And I would question any contractor out there. Have you heard anyone tell you that they're not ready yet, but you had bought the lead or you had gotten the lead from Danny or another marketer, right? What have you done with that lead? Did you just write it off, leave it in Facebook and just forget about it? No, I didn't. I just put them in the warm lead stage. And again, they are being nurtured as we speak. I have drips going out to these people as we speak. So again, so much to cover, and I can't do that all right now, but these are just some of the powerful features we have, man.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love what I saw there. And you see it if you're a concrete coating contractor, decorative concrete contractor, and you're listening to this podcast and you're in the trades and you're looking for a solution that you can integrate so you can start tracking. One of the questions we get is like, hey, does your CRM integrate with X? Can you tell a little bit about integrations? Where can we spit out the leads from and all of that?
Well, I'll be honest, we are taking the epoxy company by storm. And I'll say that with love, because I love those guys. They're fun to cold call. Actually, they answer more than anyone, which we appreciate. But they give us a shot because the estimating process for epoxy is generally pretty easy. My mission going forward with the next 2 months is to make it to where it can be systematic. We already have production rate estimating for house painting. My goal is to tweak it to make it work for epoxy. This is something that's not in the market right now. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to lead the way there for epoxy companies when it comes to creating production rates. So you can go in, take a measurement, and it's not just $3 a square foot. No, it tells you exactly how much product you're going to use. It tells you exactly how much time it should be allocated to preparation, how much should be allocated to application, what the markup is on your product. I mean, this is how you scale. So you can send anyone to a job and all they got to do is punch in the numbers and you're able to not only price the job, but with our job costing features, you'll be able to compare that pricing to what to what actually happened. So to be honest, man, yeah, I mean the epoxy industry is a great industry to be a part of. And again, the epoxy companies are a perfect fit for this.
Beautiful.
Especially because the estimating is simple.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you got lead nurture, pipeline management, and SMS and email. Does this integrate with Messenger on Facebook or Google Business Listing?
So, yep, absolutely. So we would just zap it in. So integrations are Zapier, Company Cam, QuickBooks Online. So we have pretty much the basic integrations that you would need to get going. Danny, I'm going to give you an example right here of just some of the automation real quick.
Yeah.
And this will, Danny, you'll really appreciate this. So I'm going to actually showcase to you a customer. Now, following up is a big deal, especially when it's to a customer that is on the fence, right? So I'm going to showcase to you just kind of this little case study here, just to give you an example of what you're missing out on, right? So those of you listening, I'm showcasing an example of a customer that I forgot about, okay? And this is why software and automation is going to move your business forward. So for an example here, we gave her the quote, it looks like on the 19th, which was 7 days ago. There was a follow-up that went out on the 22nd. I did not get an answer. Okay. So that was 4 days ago, right? Well, I know better than to only follow up one time. And that was an automatic follow-up. And then I threw in an incentive. Okay. I think any one of us listening to this would take a job for a $250 discount. Okay. All of us would do it.
Yeah.
So automate it, right? So I have an automation. I hope my customers aren't listening to this. 7 days after we give the quote, which fell on today at 8 o'clock in the morning, to tell Danielle that I am willing to take $250 off the quote. Okay. And I forgot about Danielle, to be honest with you. I mean, again, we do a lot of quotes, just like many of the people listening to this do. Hey, Danielle, thought I'd reach out to you and let you know we have one more opening that we're trying to book for one of our crews. So when I do a follow-up, I don't sound desperate. I make it sound like a win-win. We never want to make it sound like, hey, can I, no, it's like, hey, listen, I'm only doing this because I have an opening. This isn't normal. Just let you know, this would benefit me greatly. If I take $250 off of the proposal, would you allow us to earn your business? And here she comes with her response. We really would like to go with you guys. We got a few quotes from other companies. And she even gave us the price of the quote. So this is a customer that wanted us, but she had got some comparable quotes and maybe felt as though ours was a little high, which I don't know, maybe all of our customers usually do. And we have to build value. In this case, I was able to identify that the quote she got was missing trim and doors. And that was something that I quoted. Okay. So don't make the mistake, which I believe to be a crucial mistake. Don't make the mistake of thinking that your customers are educated buyers.
Right.
It gets confusing, especially those of you that are out there doing great work, grinding the floors, using the polyaspartic coatings. I mean, again, most people think you just slap paint on it, right? Until you guys come in and lay down the good stuff, right? So our customers aren't educated. They don't really know what to look for. They think they're comparing apples to apples, but every contractor uses different software, different ways of writing up proposals. They have different sales pitches. It gets confusing. So having follow-ups, even if it doesn't convert the customer off of the follow-up, it gives you another opportunity to communicate and try to win the job. In this case, I was able to do that. And Danny, if you want to check this out, at the bottom, it says, okay, we have decided to go with you guys. And that was today at 2 o'clock.
Boom.
I mean, that's the beauty of follow-ups right there. So,
yes, sir.
I can't say it anymore, man. This is where the passion comes from, is because if you can rely on automation to do things that you're not doing right now that you want to be doing, that's just like having a full-time employee in your pocket.
Oh, I love it. And, in business, one key word is efficiency. And what you're witnessing right now is efficiency. And on top of that, you stack up technology and AI, and you are ahead of the competition. And with efficiency comes speed. You see, when you're trying to put 2-3 softwares together, you're losing momentum just in the thought process of, let me enter this, or wait a second, let me just make sure the data is consolidated, integrated the right way. What if a SAP breaks, which happens to some of our clients? It's like, hey, the SAP broke here and leads are not coming through in my other software. Happens all the time. So this is where a software like DripJobs comes into play. I'm looking at the website right now. You guys you could do digital signatures, collect deposits. I mean, just a whole bit. You want to just give us a rundown into all these different features?
Absolutely. Proposals, invoicing, work orders, lead tracking, obviously the drip messaging, job schedule, a jobs pipeline, work orders. I mean, you name it, it's in there. Whatever you need to run your business. Again, we have a couple cool features coming out: job costing and crew dispatch, which are really those two features that make us a 360, solution. I mean, we're right there, and one of the things, here's one of the biggest bottlenecks, okay, that I experienced. There was a time where I would be answering the phone in my business. Many of the people listening to this are still doing that. This is very common. And one of the big bottlenecks was getting customer information. And you're probably going to laugh at this, Danny, because you probably know, right? So the customer calls, maybe you're driving, you get to the red light, and you find your pen, you find your paper, you have to write it down, right? You're busy. You don't even get
Yellow
all
pads.
You just you don't even remember, you can't even really hear the email. You just like guessed. You get that, right? And then you agree on a date and a time, which usually takes a few minutes, like, hey, and then you have to look at your calendar, and then you go, okay, well, I could do 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Oh, I have a doctor's appointment. They always got a doctor's appointment, right? And then it's the next day is like, Friday. And then you're like, okay, I can do Friday, right? So then Friday hits, you don't put that anywhere. You leave it on your pen and paper. Okay. Customer gets no communication, Danny. Nothing until Friday, right? So let's go back to the contractor. So he has that piece of paper in there, right? What does he do? He then goes, oh man, I got to get that customer into my calendar for Friday. So he goes do it late at night. He goes outside, gets the piece of paper, pops it in his phone. Oh, I didn't get the email, whatever. So he puts it in there, right? So from there, he goes and greets the customer. Now I'm going to compare that to me
Mm-hmm.
and what that would look like. So let's say that was Tuesday. Customer then meets with me and this other gentleman on Friday. Friday hits. Okay. That's what's happening. So customer called me on Tuesday. I have a link in DripJobs. So my conversation is a lot more fluid. It's a lot more confident. They think that I'm sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. And that's how you want people to feel. Thank you for calling Premium Painting. This is Tanner. How may I help you?
Yes.
Awesome. You know why? Because I'm not stressing about finding my pen and my paper or typing in their information. I could be driving, skydiving. I could be at Disney. And I say, Mrs. Jones, we would love to help you out. Hey, I'm going to send you a link. If you could just fill out the form, we'll get you scheduled in. How's that sound? Great. Every customer says, great. Why? Because they're used to this. In other sectors of our economy, this is normal.
Right.
So we send them the link. They fill out the form. They get a follow-up immediately that says, hey, we received your form. I go back to doing what I'm doing throughout my day, Danny, and I don't have to worry about it. I know that the customer received communication. Now, at nighttime, I can review what came in that day, and I can accurately dispatch because on my form, it asks the customer what their preference is. So they said Thursday or Friday. I went ahead and picked Friday. So this gives me 4 days in between, Danny, and this is what's so important. It's going to be 3 days, okay? Again, we talked about that first contractor. It's radio silence. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Second contractor, what happens? Me. Mrs. Jones gets a follow-up and it says, hey, Mrs. Jones, allow us to tell you our story. And I go into detail about how we got started and why I'm so passionate about concrete coating or house painting and what they can expect when I get to the estimate.
Right.
And then I leave a little cliffhanger and I tell her tomorrow I'm going to send another email that tells her 5 questions she should ask me as the contractor. I'm going to educate my customer during this time. I want her to ask me how I'm going to prepare the floor, what the warranty is on the product, how long the job should take, what the who's going to be working on the job, employees or subcontractors, and last but not least, am I licensed and insured? And I'm going to give her a bullet point list, and I'm going to answer those questions in the email. So when I knock on her door, she knows me now.
Yeah.
And that's the power of drip messaging. And it doesn't always have to be marketing to customers. It could be customer service. It could be building relationships. It could be engaging with your customers. This is the power of automated communication.
I love it. I love it. And we talked about here at Concrete Marketing Crew in our podcast, past episodes, the pre-sale. What happens before you show up at the door? So there is, the first 100 hours when a lead comes in, that is critical. What are we going to do to convert them into a booked appointment? And then what happens from there, booked appointment, to the moment you show up at the door?
Yeah.
What kind of communication? How are you building value? How are you giving them assignment selling?
Crucial
How
time.
are you differentiating yourself? Like, this is time, the prime time. Like, emotions are high. They want to check out different projects, reviews, testimonials, the difference in product or quality, warranties. I mean, you could just name all the benefits and then just look at every problem you've gotten, every complaint. And just by the mere fact you're giving them questions to ask you, guess what? If they have someone else coming in, giving them an estimate, they're probably going to ask those questions. They're probably going to flop because they're not the ones creating the questions. So that's
they weren't ready for them. They're going to be like, where did this customer come
it's
from?
like,
right?
oh, who gave you
How do
those
they know
questions?
what polyaspartic is?
There you go. Right. And now a smart buyer, now you have an educated buyer.
You need educated
buyers. That's right.
You need them.
I love it.
If you want to survive. That's good stuff, man.
And that's why we put together this shows here at Your Concrete Success Podcast. We'd like to dive in and bring you resources, people, individuals who are leading the way in the concrete coating and decorative concrete industry. And what you're witnessing here is Tanner with DripJobs. Make sure you check them out. And any Concrete Marketing Crew client, this is Concrete Marketing Crew clients, or clients who join us at the Coat Master Lab, you're going to get something very special. How many days are you going to give my guys, Tanner, to give DripJobs?
Listen, I'm going to do something I haven't done. I'm going to give anyone that comes in off of this podcast 100 days for free.
Wow. How many days?
100 days for free. 100.
100 days. Holy
100
cow.
days. Okay.
Beautiful.
And you're gonna use promo code CMC23.
Boom.
That's your promo code. Concrete Marketing Crew 23, CMC 23.
Yes.
And if that promo code is still valid, I don't know, I might be out of business, Danny, after this one, but if it's still valid, I want you to use it. We're going to activate that coupon today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for bringing so much value here to our listeners. If you have any questions, type them into the comments. If you're listening to this on Spotify, on Apple, make sure that you leave us a comment. Let us know how this show was for you. Give us some ratings here to let us know how we're doing on the shows. And if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, make sure that you share this podcast to your social media feeds. Let your friends know. Anyone that would find this valuable, share it with them. Maybe you have a spouse and you guys are chatting about, hey, I need to get my act together when it comes to the sales and marketing. Maybe this is a component that's missing right now. I'm lacking certainty in the way that I'm handling leads. Maybe you've got Angie's leads coming in or Facebook leads or whatever is happening in your world. You think you got it together. It isn't until you start working with systems that are proven that you start realizing the power in conversions, the power in money making, the power in profitability. And it's the small pivots that you make what makes you lethal in the marketplace. So speed to lead, coming out as a professional, regardless how big or small, integrating communication right out of the gates is going to help you stand out in today's competitive marketplace. Tanner, thank you so much for coming over today. Any last words here for any listeners?
I just want to encourage anyone that finds themselves each day struggling, maybe waking up being like, man, maybe I should give this thing up. The fact that you listen to this podcast says a lot about you. This is not an easy thing to do, to grow beyond and to an area that you're uncomfortable in. I certainly didn't know what the heck I was doing when it came to starting a software business. Didn't know what the heck I was doing when it came to starting a painting business. But what that allowed me to do was to fail forward, to make decisions that aren't practical, but ultimately kind of risky. And I think the moment you stop making risky decisions in your business, and when you stop having faith in yourself, in God, in whatever your mission is to impact your customers and the people around you, I think a lot of us have a why behind what we're doing.
Yes.
That is beyond ourselves. And I think the minute you shut that light off and you stop using that as fuel is the minute you're going to hang up the towel. So I would say channel that stuff, take risks, and rely on people like Danny, good resources, good people to give you guidance, trust in the process. People who go on this podcast are giving you their best stuff.
Yes.
So listen to it, re-listen to it, because people usually don't hide their secrets on podcasts. That's why you're here. Right. So take advantage of it. And that's what I have to say to you.
Boom. Thank you so much for the value here, Tanner. Really appreciate your time. And anyone listening again, DripJobs, 100 days of a trial. Now, 100 days is a long time. It's over 3 months here. So you've got runway to make this software make you money. And take it seriously, because if I was like, there was a point in time where I was sleeping in my car and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, God, Lord, send me something. Let me see what the next step should be. And I'm like, who should I associate myself with? Guess what? You join DripJobs. You get together with Concrete Marketing Crew. You're going to have success. We're going to point you in the right direction. Even if you don't become clients, we're going to lead you in the right direction, which is what matters. So 100 days to give this software a shot. And look, double down on yourselves. You got a dream, you got a vision, you got a mission. Do it for your family, do it for your loved ones, and most importantly, do it for yourself. You got nothing to lose. Thank you for listening to Your Concrete Success Podcast. This is Danny Barrera. Leave us a review here. If you like this show, leave us a comment right down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening.